Hello, welcome to another episode of Me the Manager. I am joined today by OkayYeahSure, or also known as Brian. Brian, I think it's a really fascinating handle that you have. Is there a great story behind it, or just something that stuck?
I don't know if it's a great story. I got the invite to the game, and I've played online games for quite some time, and they're very addictive to me. So for the most part, I play them, and then I managed to stop playing them, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. So my buddy Matt, something balling, sent it to me, and I've known him since middle school, and he's always finding new games to get me addicted to, whether it was like your championship manager like 25 years ago. I think that was one of the first ones. That game was incredibly addictive. And then Hat Trick. Hat Trick was kind of an online soccer manager game. Played that one a lot, and then I got into another game called Buzzer Beater, which I played that for like 10 years. That was a great game. And those were all Matt. Something balling. He got one of all those. So I hadn't played anything in a while. I had got like a 6-year-old daughter and moved, and career's been going crazy. But he sent me this, and I'm like, oh, I know if he's sending it to me, it's probably something good. He sent me the baller stuff and some of the NFT stuff in the past, and I just never really got into that. But yeah, this one I was like, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, like I'll play, like that's where it came from. I put no thought into it whatsoever. Now it's my handle. So I did think about changing it. I thought about rebranding, but I haven't even come with anything that I'm sold on. So there it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting. It is kind of a fun story. Um, I think we've all been there. We've all had that moment where someone invites us to something and we've got that. Okay, yeah, sure. Um,
Right.
I'm glad that you've enjoyed it enough to stick around. Um, next question may be a dead giveaway as you're wearing a Chicago Fire kit, but
Right.
question is, where are you from?
So yeah, I'm from Chicago. All my family's from St. Louis. So I guess thinking about where I'm from, I start thinking about sports allegiances, right? That says a lot about somebody. So, I grew up in St. Louis. All my family's from there, so I picked up like Cardinals baseball, and then we moved around. Ended up in Chicago, like middle school, and picked up all the Chicago teams. So, man, I'm gonna keep dropping Matt's name. So, '98, Chicago Fire were founded. I know Matt forever. Him and his dad were into soccer, so I wasn't into it at all at that point. But yeah, they took me to a couple of games. '98 was a good season for the Fire. Won the double right out of the gate, and I was hooked right from the start. That the Cup final they had, the Open Cup final at Soldier Field, that was a good time. So they've had some rough times. They've probably been maybe one of the I think maybe one of the worst sports franchises in the last 15 years. They don't make the playoffs. They're terrible. They're in a league that has so much parity. I don't.
Yeah,
It's hard. It'd be hard if someone said, "Hey, can you not make the playoffs and be one of the worst teams for like 10 plus years?" I don't know. We might randomly just get lucky and be good.
yeah,
Um, so now they brought on Greg Berhalter, um,
yeah.
and he's done good stuff in MLS in the past, and it was nice to see them bring him on. They're maybe good this year. I think we're in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
I'm somewhat proud, maybe beginning to have the crowd again. But yeah, so that's my soccer team for sure.
Yeah. I try to avoid going too far down an MLS path, especially if we have European viewers and they're like, we don't care about your trash American
Yeah,
football league. But yeah, it's funny, and I always enjoy two thoughts. I always enjoy kind of hearing, because I'm in the same boat, Americans and kind of how they found a passion for football, for soccer.
mm,
And it was kind of funny listening to Ron John on Jimbo's cast. And he was kind of like, I don't follow it or watch it at all. He's like, I don't really have that much interest or that much time. And he's like, but I love
yeah,
MFL. And I'm like, wow, that's the other side of the spectrum.
yeah,
Um,
that's interesting. In fact, we did the trials. I just invited a buddy that's not into. He plays that. He's still playing buzzer beater, but he's not into soccer at all.
yeah,
But I think he's going to sign up and do the trials. So yeah. I actually, I started with the Fire, but my first soccer for me, what really got me into it was um, that year after, so '98, I graduated in '99, and I did a year work abroad program in England,
Okay.
and I was living in York, so I was really close to Leeds United. Um, they were excellent back then, '99, 2000, right? Harry Kewell, Alan Smith, that team was good. So I jumped on that team and got to see him play in a couple of UEFA Cup games and a couple of big wins. That was a pretty cool experience. Being able to be, actually the passion again. We grew up in America and think, oh, we're really big into sports, and then you go to a game over there and you're like, yeah, they're really serious about this. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember going back to England and I visited, wanted to go see it was a Birmingham Fulham. And Fulham had three Americans at the time. Like Brian McBride was on the team. And I got tickets, but I got them in the wrong supporter section. I got them in the Birmingham section instead of the Fulham section. So McBride scored in the game, and I had to just sit there with my hands. Like,
Quiet.
I'll go to Cubs Cardinals baseball games, and I'm a
Yeah.
Cardinals fan, so I'll definitely be a little over the top. I'm not worried at all. It's next level when you do some other things.
That's something that is not the same in American sports. The rivalries and the hooliganism. Um, I in college we took a class. I had kind of a small class, and the teachers wanted to do a kind of a fun event, and I said, hey, I think I can get baseball tickets. I lived in Atlanta at the time to an Atlanta Braves game. I'm like, I think I can do them for like $4 a ticket. And I'm like, we're gonna be in the nosebleeds, but we can get in for $4 a ticket. And they were like, do it. And so they're like, if students won't pony up, we'll pay the difference. So I think it was like 25 or 30 students. There was a girl from Germany that was on the tennis team that came, and she grabbed me and she was like, are we in the right section? Like, which team am I supporting? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what do you, I'm like, it's fine. I'm like, we're in the stadium. Like, you can support either team. Like, she was like, I don't care. I just don't want to get in trouble. And I'm like, you're not going to get in trouble. And she saw people wearing like the other color team, like close by sitting to us. She was like, they're just sitting right next to us. And I'm like, yeah. And it wasn't until I kind of picked up on the, particularly when you see some of the more intense rivalries. I don't want to offend anybody, but like I think of like um, Celtic and the Rangers, right? And like that's intense. Like they have to put up barriers on the wall so that they're not sitting right next to each other where the sections come together. But yeah, the passion's great. You mentioned inviting a non-football, non-soccer fan to play, and I think if people give it a fair try, they'll enjoy the game as a whole. I think we've all played FIFA or Madden or a baseball or an NBA 2K game, and we
Mm-hmm.
like the growth of the player and the development of the team and all that fun stuff. And MFL does a great job of incorporating all of those pieces. So I hope it I hope it grows. I hope it picks up even in a country that doesn't have as much passion for soccer, for
Yeah,
football.
it's definitely growing. Like it's come a long way, definitely 20, 25, 30 years that
Yeah,
I've been seeing soccer grow. It's now, yeah, I think like you said, I see a lot of kids around with a lot of European jerseys, and
yeah,
again, I came back from England, and I mean, yeah, I wanted to watch Premier League, I wanted to watch all the best soccer, but I'm like, I got to support my local team. If I'm not
yeah,
supporting MLS, like they'll never do. So
yeah.
MLS has definitely improved. The Fire, I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely been cool to see the league grow. And Fire going to get a new stadium downtown. I keep remembering that. Oh, that's going to be really. They did it in a great location, kind of a big time, big league location. So, yeah.
It'll be dedicated, right? Because the Bears, the American football team, will have a stadium a little bit outside of town, correct?
They're still going back and forth on what they want to do, or where they're going to end up. But I think the Fire are just like, you're buying this gray land, kind of in the South Loop, just south of Chicago area. I think the White Sox were looking at that spot as well. They were trying to get state money. I think the Sox did. So Fire's owner just got all the money. The guy's a billionaire. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
He's like the Bob Flynn of real life. You just throwing cash at it, and it's just like, all right, we're going to the top.
Yeah, and it's local, so it's nice to have a local owner.
Oh,
Um,
that is nice.
yeah, so he's put money into the team, so now certainly.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to NFL. Yeah, I hope the trial clubs take off. I mean, we saw. I've been on here for about a year, and we've seen players just appreciate, right? They've just been appreciating since I've been on the game, and it's I've always been with this game since I started. Don't invest anything I'm not willing to lose.
Yeah.
There's been times when I definitely wanted to go big on this purchase or that purchase, their progression, and for the most part, not gone overboard. But I got to say, it's been difficult. The game is really fun. I think, like you were saying, other games that people have played, like some of the people I'm reaching out to in Buzzer Beater, they might not be soccer fans, but they played games where you're managing teams, you're managing resources, you're strategizing, growing your players. So yeah, it is nice to see it kind of pick up. If anything, really, I think probably the biggest concern right now is just stabilizing the market, right?
Yep.
So we've got money, we got investments in this. I think these developers, what I've seen so far is they've done a good job planning the game. They've done a good job trying to balance things out. The constant updates that they do. I mean, we get dev updates every week. There's some transparency there. Like, but for me, they've been inspiring. The way they've gone so far, I have to give them my confidence that they'll figure out either the trial will be successful to bring more people in that way. That could help stabilize the market as well. Kind of two birds with one stone. But yeah, either way, I'm going to be on MFL for quite some time at some levels.
Good. Another question that I have is for meetups. I love asking the meetup question. Have a little bit of FOMO from Paris, but where would you have the next meetup?
I mean, right in the middle of the U.S., right? Let's come to Chicago. Let's all meet in the middle, right?
Yep. We've got a couple of Chicago people. I know we've got some Indiana, some Illinois. So I think you'd have some advocates. Alliance seems to be the phrase of the week. So I think you'd have some alliances in the Chicago stand.
Yeah.
Chicago would be fun.
I'm happy to kind of go anywhere. West Coast, East Coast. I'm at a point in life where with family, work, and kids and stuff, we're not traveling very much. So going anywhere.
Yeah.
Road trip to any state sounds great.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. So little backstory. I had Bob and Sid on, and Sid mentioned and said that I should chat with you and have you on, and he mentioned that you guys talk tactics quite a bit, and Sid had, in my opinion, quite a great year for tactics. And then one of the other fun notes around that is you just got promoted to Diamond League. So super excited to talk to you about your team and head to the Diamond League. I was doing a little bit of research on your gallery, and I realized you have one team. So your one team got to the Diamond League.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're ready for it?
No. I think I'm going to get frustrated. No, I think, and I was thinking about that, kind of reflecting on the way up. I've always just done one club. You could see even from my handle, I was like, all right, I'll play this game. I know it's going to suck me in, and it's going to make it hard for me to focus on a whole bunch of other stuff I want to focus on. But all right, this is going to be fun, right? But as I started, it was like, okay, I'm going to put a few bucks in, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of money. $30, $50 times, right? And then you start getting some wins, and you promote up. And like, okay, all right. And then you're spending $50. Now I'll buy my first $100 player, right? I think I've worked myself up to the way I don't know that I've spent more than $1,000 on one player. There's definitely been plenty of players, and I'm like looking around me at a lot of my competition, and like there's a lot of money being thrown around, right? So, but again, for the most part, I've tried to set some boundaries and not go overboard. And I really pretty much ever since getting silver, I think from silver up, it's just okay. I'm just going to get crushed this season, and then we're going to demote. Hopefully, some magic, and I can stay up. And it's just been, I feel like that every season. Platinum was really surprising. I know that from playing this game, we know like the overall value, players overalls, team overalls. it's just a number, right? How you build a team and what those skills are is really important. But I do look at it. I'm looking at the projections, and I'm like, well, it's going to be a long season in platinum, right? I just kept waiting for the bottom to fall off. 2 seasons ago, I stayed up in platinum, but I'd start really well. I have a feeling like maybe I was doing a lot of practicing and I was figuring some stuff out, and then as other teams figured it out through the season, they would catch up, and I would kind of fall off later in the season. So I think 2 seasons ago I was ready to go down, and then this season I was a little over a week ago I was mid-table. I had been doing pretty well all season long, but again, kind of middle of the season there, I came out in the mid-season break. I think I had like 2 or 3 straight losses and ties, and fell to mid-table, and I'm like, okay, just stay up. And I think at that point I kind of took a step back, looked at my tactics, spent a lot of time watching some of my games, watching some of my opponents' games. I tweaked a few things on tactics, and then I won like 4 of the last 5 games. Kind of went on a run, and then fell in second place, got that diamond playoff win. It's a really great team that I expected to lose to. So I'm definitely not coming into these competitions with luck. um, but I'm definitely putting in work. You know, you run a lot of simulations, you watch a lot of games. I think I have a chance often, but I'd say it's often you set a tactic, and is this the right one? Am I going to get crushed? And I'll think about that all the way till kickoff. Should I change it? Should I change it? So it's I do feel like I'm kind of all over the place in planning, and I think a lot of that comes to is there's good teams all around me. There's good managers. It's a challenging game. You can set the perfect tactic, and you can still lose, and I think
Yeah.
that's great. I think that's beautiful about the game. I love that they've made it hard. And that's soccer, right? Sometimes you play great, you dominate that other team, but then you lose. So that's part of the beautiful game, right? So I think, long story short, yeah, going into Diamond, I think I'm probably going to get crushed. I've been doing some practicing. The results aren't all that bad, but I know it's going to be a slog. So hope to stay up, but I wouldn't be surprised if I'm back down in platinum this season.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wanted to have Bob and Sid on before the start of Diamond last year and kind of have similar conversations, similar questions. And I was really optimistic. I was like, I hope both of them stay up. And then obviously they both did great, both had a ton of success. And I'm getting to a point where I'm like, a season is going to come where I'm going to have a manager or a team that I'm additionally invested in that's going to go down. It'll be interesting. Now I'll be rooting for all three of you guys and see how it goes. But yeah, that is interesting. You kind of talked about your approach, and it's very sustainable. And Bob made quite a few splashes coming into the season last year, and then mid-season to make sure that he stayed up. And it was just kind of part of his approach. And he invested a lot to make sure that he wasn't going to go down.
Right.
And
Yeah, I chatted with him a little bit. I think for me again, I didn't expect I was going to go up. I was mid-table. My mindset was, okay, teams are figuring out what you're doing, so just prepare. Like yeah, you were running. When I wasn't top, GTA just ran away with it. I was kind of neck and neck with him for the first few games, and then he just took off. But sitting in second most of the season. But I did not. A week ago, I'm like, just don't demote. That's you've been doing well this season, but came into the season, don't demote, stay there, and just a bunch of stuff fell into place. I think from a tactic point of view, a couple of things that I think really have driven my team was, kind of coming up. Like there was a point in like silver where like I'm trying to build a team that can do everything, right? You want to be able to run all kinds of different tactics and just find that perfect tactic for whoever you're playing. And I think there was a point where My central midfielders, no matter what, no matter who they were, they just always seemed to underperform. Um, I started to see at that point. I think another big thing that I've done is uh, focus on defense. Like I was seeing like I got this great central midfielder, um, one of my young players, and I thought that player was going to grow to be an ultimate and be like one of the best players in the game. Like when you start, you just think you're playing, you're just going to take off. And he was a pretty good central midfielder, good passing, good dribbling, good rounding, but he was slow and his defense was so. And I started playing like a central defensive midfielder out of position in central midfield. And I'm like, this guy seems like he's doing better, even though he doesn't have the dribbling that this other player has. So I really at that point pivoted. I don't know how many seasons ago that was, and I was like, that's it. I can't have all the positions. I've never had like a left wing or a right wing. So I've never really wanted one of those like 4-3-3 type formations. But I think I abandoned central midfielders at that point. I said, you know what? I'm just going to abandon them. They're very expensive. I think the players that I need are going to be difficult to find. Um, and that's where I started really kind of focusing on saying, well, I see what people are spending around me, and I'm not going to spend those resources. So what am I going to do? And I think my focus has been build midfielders that have a lot of defense and give up on dribbling. So get a lot of passing and a lot of defense, and then just try to use maybe team tactics, and then eventually those individual instructions came around, which were great um, to kind of give yourself a bit of a competitive. So that's probably the main thing that I've done coming up was just go kind of big on defense. You'll see like you look at my right mid. I actually was able just to loan another one, but otherwise I would walk into the diamond with a 7 right mid. Doesn't even hit the 88 qualifier. He's an exception, right? And he's going to be but I think I look at him and I'm like, dude's fast. He's got
Good.
He's still got good passing. Yeah, I'd love for him to have 98 passing, but 94 is not bad. Um, but he's got 97 defense, right? So, I've tried to take those types of players and save a little bit of money on them, and then try to find ways to limit their weaknesses and put a lot of leverage on the skills.
Yeah, that's a really interesting call out. I think that's one of the things that when I first started playing the game, I just looked at face value, right? I saw 87 and 90, and I said, well, 90 is more than 87. And even with the -1, it's still an 89 as a right mid. And then looking a little bit more specifically at individual stats, and I think you alluded to this, how it fits into the formation. So however that feels and however you play, if you're playing with more of a defensive mindset and, hey, we're going to steal a goal or, hey, we're going to steal a point, 97 defending is really valuable from a midfielder. And you can sit tight in a formation, a more defensive formation, and steal that late goal or steal that point. And that's really interesting because you said, hey, there are some weaker stats that bring him down. With him, it's dribbling and physical. I don't know how much physical weighs into a midfielder. But, he's 92, 94, 97. That sounds pretty good. But the face value is not as much. So it's really interesting, and it's really interesting to say, hey, I'm limited from a budget, so how do I get more creative and still make it to diamond? With players that maybe aren't the first choice of the first team. So that's awesome.
Definitely not. I look at some of the teams I'm going to play, and I'm like, I want their players.
yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, I think like you're saying, it's. I think I spent a lot of time looking at the formula that makes up what the players overall is, right? And I think I was just looking at midfielders, and I'm like, shot was really the big one for me. I remember I picked up a CM at one point right before I abandoned central midfielders, and I was like, he's got really good shooting, so I'm going to pick this guy up. And he didn't score any goals. Like, I didn't focus so much on. I'm like, well, maybe a little lighter on the core skills, but that shooting, that icing on the top is going to make it worth it. And completely backfired. And that was like the third CM in a row that I'm like, this just is not working out. how I hoped, right? So um, I look at that formula, and I really think I'm like, I feel like shooting is overrated. I feel like obviously defending, I think, is quite underrated. Pace, I think, is way underrated. Um,
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, I think it's striker. Everybody sees pace, but that's another one for me. It's just been pace is huge. I just remember a few seasons ago where you've got your team and you play like I'm playing. I'm going to mention that like Black MFC, right? So I've been
Yeah.
playing back and forth for years since I got on. I'm always trying to kind of measure myself up, and you got a couple young forwards that 90 speed, and he came out one season with these players, and he was just killing them. I'm like I am hanging on for dear life here, just not to get blown out. What is going on? I think pretty much ever since then, when it comes to strikers, like, you're not 90 pace out anymore. You're filtered right out. Defenders too. I think I've seen slow defenders where I love watching these games. I watch the highlights, but it's funny. I saw some debate on this on how people watch the game. Somebody in the general forum, I think, they said like, "Oh, the game engine's terrible to watch," and the experience is not great. And maybe I'm an outlier, but I can watch these games just over and over again.
Yeah.
I play a game and just mesmerized. I can sit and watch them for hours. I'll find myself on a weekend like, I don't have to get up tomorrow, and I'm just sitting until it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, what am I doing? So you can pick up so much watching those tactics and putting in the time to watch them TV. So you see
Yeah.
a couple of people blow past your central defender, and you're like, oh, I mean, this guy's great all over the place, but he just getting blown. People are just flying right past him. So
Yeah.
it seems pretty clear to me just from watching the game that pace was one in a lot of positions is quite underrated.
Yeah, it's interesting watching some of the game and actually watching some of what happens. I remember a couple seasons ago, I remember watching, and I think they made pretty big changes to the engine, but it was early preseason. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how many defenders hit this guy, he just dribbles right through him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, this is stupid. The engine's not very good. And it didn't click to me to like, hey, maybe I should be dribbling more. Maybe I should be going after some guys that have high dribbling and just abuse what's good. Talking with some of the other managers, they're kind of saying the same things. I've heard Bob say it a few times, and Kev has talked about it, and they're like, yeah, when I find something that's good, I try and figure out how it happened and then do it myself. And I'm like, maybe it's not worth it to be so contrarian. Maybe just lean into what's good or what's working. Um, so,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I didn't want to like dribbling is an exciting skill, right?
yeah,
Central midfielders allow you to play a bunch of really cool positions, right? But they just weren't working for me, right? So, I went in a different direction. And again, still that diamond is still just hard to wrap my head around.
yeah. So, what formations did you find yourself most comfortable in last season? So, if you kind of got into a rut, where were you going back to?
Uh, 4-2-3-1 is always a safety. It's just nice to have those. You have those two central defensive midfielders, right? You've got six people basically committed to defending. If you set your instructions that way, and then you've got the four up top. Just let them loose. So that one's a safe one. A new one, I guess I'm probably going to use it. Go to it a little bit more, but the 5-4-1 was kind of a revelation over the last couple of years. I remember seeing so many teams run it. It never seemed successful. So I tested it out a little bit season before, and it's not that bad. And I used it more last season, and it kind of again it gives you something like I feel like the 4-2-3-1 is nice, especially against narrow teams, but that 5-4-1 that's great against teams that are wide. So both of those. I like the 4-1-2, 4-1-2-1-2 wide. I'd like to play more two striker formations. Man, this season I've got two blazing fast 99 strikers, and I know I'm going to get crushed if I run a lot of two striker formations. So I would love to be able to, but if I'm running the two striker one, so I love that 4-1-2 and two wide. The 3-5-2 B is one that really has grown on me over the last, I don't know, three, 4 seasons or so. And so much those individual instructions that they had, was that just last season, right? That they added individual instructions, or was that 2 seasons ago?
Oh, I thought it was even farther back.
Was
I
it?
don't have the answer.
Time flies, right?
They,
Um,
it's so funny. They do the seasons feel like full years, full calendar years, and then they all blend together. For me at least, it goes so fast, and there are times that I feel like it was forever ago, and then there are times that I feel like, oh, that just happened. But
right.
no,
Yeah, the
I
seasons
think
are
it's
flying by, right? So,
yeah,
uh, but those individual instructions are. I mean, I love the fact that they've given that flexibility. When it first came out, I was like, oh man, I'm already spending so much time planning, right? Prep time is real. I mean, like I said, I watch a lot of games. I watch my opponents. I try to watch their games in 2D. I'm trying to see what are they doing, where are they going, how are they moving, right? You've seen you can go play one, 4-3-3, and you crush it. You play another one, and you get crushed. Clearly, something's going on there, and you can see that in the 2D, but it takes a lot of time, right? So when those instructions came around, I was like, this is just taking the number of variables here and just exploding it. But yeah, I mean, I actually transitioned to it really well, and I think you can take a 3-5-2 B and you can throw some real defensive instructions at those right and left mid, and you get a little bit more of a 5-4-1 type feel to it, right? I think
yeah,
depending on certain opponents, throw those guys offensive, and it's going to play completely different. So that gives you so much flexibility with the players that you have. Like I said, you look at that right mid. He's a 97 defense. I got a lot of flexibility in how I can use him. I can either throw him forward offensively or say, hey, you're going to be overmatched. Just sit back and try to help the right side play defense and lock it down, especially if you're overmatched. So um, those have made a big difference.
yeah. I'm looking at some of the individual stats of center backs and trying to look and see kind of um, how they fit in. You've got some really interesting stats from CDMs with huge defending and right mid from huge defending. Um, but I'm curious, have you had issues? Your center backs are all below 80 pace. Have you had issues yet with pace? You mentioned Black a couple of seasons back, but have you feel like you've solved that kind of through ball meta last season? And are you worried about it this year as you've run some friendlies against Bob and Ronan with super fast strikers
Mhm.
and Diamond?
I mean, I have to say, I look at pace under 80 for a center back, and I guess I don't look at it that bad. I had one on my team last year that was a 74, and I saw that guy get exposed a couple times. But the 78, 79 is not too bad. I mean, GTA, his front line is blazing fast. Uh, I played Dio's plat team blazing fast again. I think if you're in that upper 70s range, you can shut down a defense. It's going to be a team effort, So
Yeah.
um, I think that's what I've leaned on is kind of leaning to that. Like, I think somebody had said like last season that was a bit of a hack was the use your keeper as a captain. So,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
just makes sense. You've got a bunch of 97 defenders. You know, having a keeper, boosting your keeper 2 levels is just huge, right? So, pretty much walking in as much as I can. Don't have to get 99 defenders. We can make sure they're fast. Passing and dribbling, try to avoid. I mean, I think that's a big deal. Um, Especially if you're outmanned, you're going to want your defense to be able to pass the ball around a little bit, hold the ball, buy your team a little bit of time. So I'd say my center backs are probably my least of my worries, but knock on wood on that, and hope they hold up. I'd say again, probably if anything, I think Brandao is my 92. He's my best center back, but he's got the lowest passing dribbling. So we'll see if
Hmm.
I have to make some tough decisions and maybe go the wrong way between him and like a Visa or a Coutinho that have a little technical touch. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see as well. In the updates, they've said that physical will come into play to slow down faster attackers. Um, and looking as well, he's got 95 physical. The rest of them, of the center backs, hover around 80. So I have not seen that be like super impactful. I haven't had moments where I've been running friendlies and I've been like, oh, that's where the physical slowed down the speed. That doesn't mean it's not happening, but it'll be interesting to see as they continue to tweak as we get close to match day one, how they all feel and how they all feel in kind of different situations and different
I think I
formations.
did see some of that in games. The center backs kind of slowing the other defender down. So definitely try to say, oh, okay, well, this guy's my best physical. Try to match him up on one of the faster front lines. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's always hard. You got to do your best to predict what your opponent's going to play.
yeah,
You can come up with a perfect formation against the formation they didn't play.
yeah. Chatting with Big Will and Bob and Sid, some of the guys that are in Diamond and their experience as they talk about that the formation flexibility and then even the flexibility within a formation like Ronan runs the 4-1-2 and 2 narrow game in and game out. But Big Will talked about it like he'll switch the sliders pretty drastically so that it doesn't feel like the same formation from game 3 to game 5. It's not the same set and forget. And then you've got guys, I think a lot of guys in Diamond are running 3 or 4 different formations and they can switch stuff up. And yeah, it'll be fun. I look forward to kind of chatting with you throughout the season and getting some feedback and kind of seeing how it feels. Did Platinum feel that way with all of the managers, or did you feel like you kind of knew what you were going to get going into some of them, and some of them were a little bit trickier?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a good amount of managers that just run the same formation.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they're mixing it up more, then it just means more time planning and prepping. And really, at that point, it's just trying to weigh the risk between going this route versus that route, and thinking, well, if they're going to go this way, and I make it the wrong call, how bad would that be? And do I go and choose with what might be my best? If I don't choose right, maybe I should have chosen the one that's my most confident, strongest formation in the first place. And yeah, again, you can spend so much time. It's definitely analysis paralysis at some point.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely times where I'm like, okay, I'm going too deep on this. Gosh, I remember there was one of them. I think it was a promotion from Silver, and they had it was manager Ancient, right? It was his team, and I practiced against him before the game. Like I saw, oh, I can scrimmage with him.
Yeah.
We're gonna play in a knockout. All right, well, I'm just gonna test, right? I tested like 25, 30 games or something, and I won almost all of them. But what I did is I gave him so much information. So he told me after the fact, he's like, I saw all the results and I was gonna the other way, but I clearly had to go a different way, and then he won. So yeah, that's I think definitely the case when you go too far. But then again, I think last season where there's times where things are going well, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look at my players. I'm gonna rotate them around. I'm just gonna not spend a lot of time thinking about it, and sometimes that works. And then you get a couple losses, and you're like, oh man, what am I gonna do? So those are gonna be. I think the thing with Diamond is going to be difficult. Is I was talking to Sid about this. I think I scrimmaged Meta in a game a couple days ago, and he crushed me, beating like 4-0. And I mentioned to Sid, like that's going to happen. There's going to be 4-0s. There's going to be some painful losses. So it's one thing in Platinum, lower divisions. If you lose a close game, maybe you had the XG. You're like, I picked the tactic. It just didn't go my way. You walk out and getting tripled or quadrupled up on XG, losing 4. Yeah, I'm gonna have to set a lineup the next day. So there's probably going to be some of those, and that'll be the hardest part. Is don't kind of lose your lose your what's worked in the past and just go with something totally out there. Because even if it works, you've gone so far out with what you're used to. What are you gonna do
Yeah,
next?
yeah, that can be tough. Um, is if you run so many friendlies, little tweak, little tweak, little tweak, little tweak, and then you end up getting so far away from home where you're like, I don't remember where comfort zone is. That's particularly difficult if you're winning all of your friendlies and then you get crushed the next, like the actual match day, and you're
Right.
like, shit, I gotta just go back. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's really too. So you'll run like you go into a preseason, you'll run just so many friendlies, right? And you're like, all right, this is working for me. And then like a week later, you're like, okay, well, what were my settings?
yeah,
What did I do? Like if I changed anything or I didn't save that formation, then you got to. This is, I think, one thing that could be improved. And I thought about. I've done a little bit of like AI vibe coding against their
mm,
API. And I was thinking about recently. I was like, I should write something that goes through and like, pull me back all of my results. I don't want to have to go through my friendlies one by one and click load more. Like I want to rip through these and see who did I play, what were my results, what were my formations. I think Sid passed on a site, MFL Coach.
yeah.
That's so I saw that and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to write anything. This is already doing it. So that one does a great job of like opponent finding, formation finding, and then giving you a better list of games that you play. Easier to kind of reflect on what I want to get back to. Yeah, I remember something was working, but that was so many tactics and formations.
Um, yeah. I assume that you know as well. You can go back and look at your match tactics from previous games in the report. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I thought so. I was going to share it, but I assume that you were familiar with that. But um, to your point, if you run a lot of friendlies and you're looking at references to friendlies, it can be tough. Last year, one of my teams did well in Cup, in the Capped Cup, and then I got into the season and started really slow when I was overall better than a lot of the teams, and I was like, I need to just go back to the tactics that I had in the Cup, and then restart from there because it worked in equal competition.
mm,
And looking at MFL Manager, my team is better than my competition. I need to work. I need to go back and work with that. But yeah. Um, okay, so small. What one team? Fairly small gallery, particularly for Diamond. And I was going through and kind of looking, and I noticed something. Um, there were a couple of non-legendary players in your gallery, and I was going through looking at a couple of them, and a couple things jumped out at me. There was one player that's for sale, this guy, and
yeah,
it
yeah.
looked like you had quite a few players kind of like this. It seems like you're finding some players that are having really good progression. Um, those vertical up lines. Are
Yeah.
you finding those guys and then loaning them out and trying to see if you can get one of those miracle run guys?
Definitely, yeah. I think the first like really really massive progress, really high slope that I saw was Beckman, who Bob just purchased
Yeah.
from Matt Balling last season. Um, and I think Trading Places, I think was his name. Yeah, he's the manager that had Beckman, but he's got Gomez. I'm looking at this guy's gallery, and I'm like, dude, all of his players. It's it's straight up like what is going on? And it's also kind of right about the time I started getting a little curious about AI. I work in IT, so I can feel it encroaching a little bit. So I'm like, I better kind of know my enemy here, and plus it's maybe
Yeah.
a technology. So um, I don't I'm not sure what Trading Places is doing. I you know uh, spent maybe 2 seasons ago or so. It was like June, I think. I started uh, doing some vibe coding against their APIs, and that's what it was. I was trying to mine that that progress, from the beginning of the season. Show me everybody that's popped through this game. Show me everybody that's popped through training, and you could get a good list. So I started, anybody that had 2 or 3 pops within the first week of the season. I'm like, yeah, let's go grab those guys. I've had some wins. They're sitting right on my gold one there, Valverde, he has been great. In fact, if I stay up this season, my guess would be it's because he's going to go on another big run. Um, and but I
That's
think for the
crazy.
most part, like most of the people I picked up, it was they didn't pan out, they didn't keep their progression up. I had a couple. I think maybe more shocking was like they were right up. Yaroshenko was one. I think he's like an 82 now. He had ridiculous slope when I picked him up. Um, I brought him in. I mean, you see the season 26 there, the green blue. I picked him up right before the blue. I mean, so I got 13 pops that season, and I'm like, that's it. I got the next Beckman. This is going to be great. I can't wait. I am so excited for season 27.
It's a hard plateau.
What is going on there? It just hits a wall. So I think there was him. There was another Gentile was another one that I purchased, and I'm like, this guy's going to be a big time player. And he sat in tier jail for like a season, and I thought, man, you spent premium money on this guy. He didn't pan out. So yeah, I mean, like Valverde, the goalkeeper worked out, but I think the whole experiment leaves me wondering, is it worth it? I'd say if anything, I haven't invested in anybody. I'm not even really looking at the progression in the last half of season, mostly because of the market, right? So if I can't trust, I haven't figured out the progression, and the market's not there to really pay dividends on those investments now, anyways. Kind of put that on the back. So I still have some scripts and stuff that run, but for the most part, I think it was more of a it was a fun project. It was pretty cool to just be blown away by how good AI is now with coding and what it can do. You know, I don't know if I made money overall, but I got a starting goalkeeper, so those are hard to find.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Um. So you have one club. Have you thought about? I haven't thought this through. This is off the cusp. So this might be a terrible idea, but have you thought about grabbing a spark team or an ice team and grabbing a bunch of guys that go +3, +4 that are in that like 50 to 60 range? So they're fairly low um, investment rate, fairly low cost. You're spending three, four, five, $6, $7,
Mm.
and then throwing them all kind of on your team and seeing if one or two of them pop. Because if one or two of those guys ends up as like a 90, then you've really paid for 100 of them.
100%. I definitely did. I think I even bought. I bought one. I'm not sure what level it was at the firm, but a season ago I bought it, and then I started looking at it. I had like two of these players I picked up that were I didn't look at their loan, so they were auto um, they were auto
Uh,
extending. So two of the guys on that team I was going to put on there, and I'm like, oh, they're loaned, and then I reached out, I wanted to want to let them go, and I just kind of
yeah,
blew it up and let it go. And I think um, again, for the most part, it just comes all back to time. So I've got enough time to focus on one,
yeah,
and I think for the last few seasons I've been like, okay, I got this build here. I'm gonna run it up to gold. All right, gold. Well, maybe this is as high as we go. I'm pretty happy with that. Got the platinum. Like, oh, this I didn't think I would get the platinum, right? So just gave the diamond. I'm happy. Like I could let this team go. We could demote next season, and then I might just blow it up and sell everybody off. And I'm like, okay, I kind of saw how far I could go with that. Now let's go where it's a lot cheaper and a lot less stress, and have a little bit more fun with it. So at some point, I'm sure I'll do that. But for now, I'm still writing this group that's gone further than I thought.
yeah. I I can't blame you. I think I can understand logic saying, um, hey, sell it and go back to silver, gold, whatever. But you can't do that. If you think you've got the winning lottery ticket, you don't sell it. You keep it and you ride the wave and you have your fun. And um, for sure, with you all the way there.
I
Um,
mean, I'd probably be better off just staying in platinum, not loaning in. I didn't buy a lot of players, but I loaned in 50%. which was
Yeah,
high.
so that,
I was at maybe 30 the last couple of seasons. I mean, I've seen some other teams that are loaning out almost 100% of their roster, but I at least wanted to have something coming back for it. So I kind of stopped at 50%. I've been talking to Scrub. He's got some great players, and he's like, "You want more players?" I'm like, "I want all your players," but some of this MFL, so keep some of my team intact. But yeah, I mean, again, if we lose this season, I'll be like, this is so much further than I thought I would go. So definitely,
tear it down. Have you
it'll be a bit of a relief. Again, it's all the time you put into it. It's like it is stress. The wins are certainly make it all worth it. But to be able to retire down to a lower level at some point seems like it's
didn't want time in playoffs? I was trying to pull up the MFL for the different leagues, and I'm not paying enough attention. Um, have you used AI? You talked about it a little bit with tactics, but have you used AI much to try and figure out formations or tactics or any of those
yeah,
finer details, or primarily for players?
yeah. So that was last season. I think in the off season I was using I'm using the app Perplexity, and it allows you to set up like a space, kind of like a bot that you can give some custom instructions that stick. So I created a whole space. I gave it the white paper. I said, "This is the game. You are a advisor to a manager in this game." I would feed it like screenshots of my opponent's formations and um, put up my players. I would I download their CSV and upload it to that. I go, okay, now give me what you would suggest, and it was like 4-2-3-1. I'm like, all right, whatever you say, I'm going to do it. And I just kept running. It kept. Okay, I'm winning. I'm winning. I started out, I think, a few wins in a row, and I'm telling Sid, and I'm in a chat with him and like Noe and Matt. I'm like, guys, this AI has been amazing. Like, this was my first season in Plat too, so I didn't have any expectations. But then I noticed, and Sid I think was doing some of it as well. I was like, it just keeps it loves the 4-2-3-1. It keeps back, and it's like, oh, the double pivot, and I'm like, I can't run the same formation every time. So I stuck with it until it lost a couple times, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking the wheel back here, and I haven't really gone back to it since then. So I don't know. I'm sure it'd be cool if you could take it and you're just like, you don't have to take the screenshots, you don't have to download the CSV. Like, just go to the website and recommend me something other than the 4-2-3-1, and maybe I tried to do it.
Yeah. Um, it's interesting. I think we would all want to use AI to be a little bit better, but I also feel like it kind of takes the fun out of the game. If the computer just tells you what to do and there's not a whole lot of individual research, or I don't know, maybe some people would rather just win at any cost, but I enjoy kind of the scouting and the theory crafting, and hey, does this work, or how do I need to set this up? Always good fun there.
Yeah.
As I say, that series
I think I
triggering
would always, you were saying,
and
like, go in the direction of what works, right?
yeah.
And if AI worked, I probably would still be going in that direction. But maybe to our benefit, AI is not there still. And
Yep.
it's super rewarding. Again, that last week where I was mid-table and I spent a bunch of time looking at games. I made a couple tweaks, and then I went on a run. Like, if AI did that, it would have been satisfying. And I wouldn't really have understood why.
So as you go into the season, do you think you'll prioritize the cup a little bit more, knowing that the league is going to be super challenging?
No, I think the focus will all be on the league. I think that's where my goal is right now. Let's take this build and see how high you can go. Um, I mean, I could switch up at some point. I could say, like, all right, this is hopeless, right? Like, I'm just getting bombed on every game. Maybe we'll pivot and focus on the cup. But I'm going to be in Titans probably. I will be in Titans this season. I was in
Yeah, I would assume so.
barely in Titans last season. So it's not like the Titans is going to be easy, right? And I
Right.
still do. Like, I'll scrimmage. I'll go down and play some platinum teams and some gold teams. If I just go use the random friendly, it's always matching me up with gold teams. But again, a lot of those teams they're good teams.
Yeah.
They're all pretty loaded as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how much the power curve. Go ahead.
So yeah, we'll see. I think I'll probably focus on the league, um, but maybe pivot if things aren't going well. But again, I think the goal is just see how high you can go in this period.
Have you have you felt like you've gotten a good read on season 9 in terms of meta and what's working? Do you feel like you've kind of had your learnings and you're trying to tweak? Do you feel like it's all kind of still in that early stages? Where are you in prep for season 9?
Probably just at the beginning. The first scramble was like, over the week. I think Friday I figured out I was going up, and I was like, wow, like just enjoy it that day. And then like over the weekend I started thinking, like, do I sell the license? Um, and I kind of immediately came back to like, you can't sell this. It's like you got this far. Why would you wonder? Well, I wonder how. Maybe you wouldn't have got bombed on. I would have wondered, right? Um, so I think I definitely want to stick with the license. And then I started loaning to players. So I think now the team's pretty much filled out. I have no ultimate players. But I'm good where I'm at. And now kind of just pivoting to focus, and let me just try the different formations at a base level. And I still want to start digging in with all kinds of different individual instructions. I don't know. I don't know if you've done much with it, but the match tactics, the scenarios, I'm not so sure. I haven't tinkered with those at all. I kind of look at it and I'm like, well, no matter what I think of, I can think about how I might back.
Yeah, I, I'm in the same boat. I'm afraid that I can do more damage than good. And regardless, I've wanted to start with like a really good foundation and figure out how does the team work together. Do I need the left mid right mid to be more defensive? If I'm in a narrow, like how do I get enough offense? Like whatever the question is to make sure that the team's having success and then go from there. The other thing that scares me is, like you said, the backfiring effect, where we've all seen the game in real life. We've also had an MFL where you're dominating the game and they get a lucky goal. One way or another, they get a lucky goal. And you're watching it and thinking, it's fine. I'm going to win the game. I've got 9 shots on target. They just haven't gone in yet. I'm going to get 2 before this is done. Well, with a preset tactic, if you have it where they go into a different formation and what you have had is working, you're stuck and you're watching and you're like, no, 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 no. Like, keep doing what you're doing. In real life, a coaching staff can kind of make that decision on sight unseen, but you're stuck if you preset those tactics. So, yeah, and it's going to be hard. It's one of the things I've chatted with Sid about, and I'm like, you can't test those, right? You can't run a friendly and say, hey, I want to start down 2-0 in the 60th minute, and then in a game where my tactics were working but I'm down 2-0, you can't set up all those parameters to kind of get into those real world situations. So yeah, right. I'm the same. I'm kind of afraid to dabble because I'm afraid I'll do more harm than good. I'm gonna wait till some of the smarter managers are like, this is working for me.
But yeah, I think that's my concern is like, if I lose because I set a scenario that backfired versus I win because I set a scenario that succeeded, I think I'd be more bummed than I would be excited. So I'm like, just don't fall into that, because I will then, beat myself up about it, and who knows what that'll do to wherever my mindset is when I'm trying to set a match. So I think there's so many variables. Like I said, if I'm setting my lineup and I'm punching in my lineup, I'm thinking about, is this the right thing? Until the last minute that game kicks off, I'm thinking about switching, right? So if I'm that uncertain at the kickoff, how can I be certain that things that play out that I don't know how they're going to play out, how will I know what I want to decide? There's just seeing the game and seeing how it plays out is huge. I would love. I mentioned to Sid, I was like, they're just going to have to go to live game instructions. It's going to be 2 hours. I think you mentioned the season goes fast, and I think that's probably my biggest concern with the game is how many games there are, right? I don't have a lot of time. A lot of stuff's happening on weekdays. Tuesday, we're having new season stuff going on. Drops happening. I'm like, I have meetings here. Like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
I've been probably one of the exceptions. That's like, let's have more time between games. Like,
Mm.
let's go like 1 week. Let's play on the weekends. Like, we'll force ourselves and we'll go a full hour, 2 hours in game, and like I would probably be for that, but then again, we get to the off season. I do miss Lakers. So
Yeah. That doesn't work. We got to have 2 pack drops a season. We got to keep the cash flowing. So,
we do it,
um,
right?
yeah, yep. It's funny. I've heard the most of the people that I've heard have said they don't want live managerial type stuff um, because they have other lives or they have multiple teams and they're like, I don't want to have to be watching and clicking if I have a meeting or I'm traveling or, I have whatever. But it could be interesting to have 2 different pyramids. One, if the game grows enough, one that allows presets with no live interaction, and one that allows it. And maybe you say, no, I have the time at 8:30 at night. I'm in Europe. It's 8:30 at night. I have that time availability. I want to be in a league where I'm live managing. And then you've got other guys. I know Laird's one of the big ones. It's like, I got kids. I'm cooking. I got work. I got all these different things. He's like, let the team run. Or trust the process is like, I have 13 teams playing at the exact same time. I can't manage 13 teams at once.
Right.
But maybe he's got a favorite. He says, hey, I want that team in this pyramid and I can manage them live. So
Well,
that would be kind of an interesting idea.
like you don't want them to have a competitive disadvantage, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, obviously, the other thing too is like we're all in one league at one time, right? Talking about some of those other things like buzzer beater, they're country based. So times in the U.S. games are U.S. based, and every other country's a little bit different. So that's not where they're at with this game, and that kind of creates its own challenges. So
Yeah. I'm not as
I kind of like that idea though, an immersive league, like a slow paced league, and then it's something really fast paced on top of it. So
yeah. I have to work out all the kinks. One of the things you talked about this in the very beginning is the dev team has been so fantastic. If there's great ideas, they get implemented or discussed very quickly. Even simple things we've seen in like the ideas chat. Palmer gets the most credit for this, but Palmer will throw an idea to Yax, and Yax is like, "All right, it's live." And we're like, "It's been 6 hours. How did you do that?"
Right.
So smaller stuff has popped up quickly, and then I know last year there was a lot of 2 seasons ago, a lot of complaining about upsets. I think it was last season, and they were not going to do the midseason update with a full breakdown, and they said, "Hey, we've had kind of a lot of requests for this, so we're going to post it." So yeah, I love that feedback, and I love how, hey, if there's a great idea that makes sense and makes sense for the community and makes sense for the organization as a whole, they'll run with it, which has been really, really refreshing.
Yeah, great dev team. But then also like what you're doing here, Calvo and Jimbo, like the community is huge, right? I mean, you play the game, but the people that you meet, maybe you get to meet in person, make some connections. Like that's incredibly valuable to the ecosystem of the game. So thank you to you and Jimbo and Calvo and everybody else that's getting getting the good word out.
Yeah, for sure. I think this alliance game mode is fun. As we get to compete with, uh, there's a German speaking group, there's a French speaking group, that I don't watch any of their content. I'm familiar with them, but I don't speak French, I don't speak German, so the content is harder for me to enjoy. But it'll be fun to kind of break down some of those barriers and have this fun little game. And none of the rewards seem, I want to choose my words carefully. It doesn't seem like it'll have an effect on the game. There's some really interesting rewards that like would be fantastic. There's some jerseys and stuff like that, but it doesn't feel like nobody's getting like a Lego or an Ultimate Player from this. It's all very like for fun, which is fantastic.
Right.
So are you aligned? Do you have your alliance already?
I I I paid so little attention to this, but I definitely did. What was it? It was like the dark something.
Windirks is the
Yeah.
Um,
The Dirk side?
uh,
Is that something?
the Dirk side. Yep.
That was,
Yep.
yeah. I think a few people in our chat might have mentioned that they jumped on that when I was at work, and I was like, sure, that one. But yeah, so it kicks off on Monday. That does look fun. And again, I think I just love watching these games. I could watch the friendlies. I fire them up, and I'm watching them as I play. So I'm, if there's not a lot of money on it, I'm still going to be super excited about it. But
Join before. Yeah, I think you're right. I thought I heard on the Ramble Pod that it started over the weekend, but now I'm not sure.
I thought I saw Monday. Or did it already start?
So the alliances have started, but it says sign up before, and then there's a countdown that's 4 days and 7 hours. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which would be Monday at some point.
It says it's somewhere in here. It said Monday. So that's when I was trying to figure out. I was like, do I just go play games? I understand I have to score goals, and that goes towards the alliance. But I did see something in here that said Monday.
Yeah, you might be right. The join before countdown looks like Monday. So
The countdown's probably
little more clarity would be a tad helpful. But yeah, it seems like it's fun. It should be a great thing. I got the impression that it's going to be kind of a separate from friendlies. Like it's going to be like a separate button, separate path, and a separate button. And then I assume it'll look kind of like friendlies, and it's measured on goal scoring in general, not winning and losing, which will be fun, and less stress, right? If you lose 5-7, then scored 5 goals, it's being part of the objective.
I'm gonna have to open my tactics a little bit here because it's like I built a team that's trying to win 1-0, right? So now I can switch it up and I can let those forwards loose and see what they do.
Yeah, on the Ramble Pod, they somebody pulled up. I don't know if it was Hoodwink or Monkey, but they put up the sliders and the tactics, and they were all the way to the right. And they're like, we're just here to score goals. So I don't know if that's going to be the best strategy, but I had kind of the same idea, right? I'm testing for the engine and to try and win games. And I don't know that I'm as married to the win 1-0, but I'm the same way. I'm not selling out to score goals and give up goals. I'm not selling out to trade. I just want to have winning teams. And we may see some interesting strategies that are like, hey, we give up 5, but we score 7. So, it's better than winning 2-1.
Yeah, maybe I'll back about that wild 4-2-4 that I still can't believe Sid pulled out the 4-2-4. I've never seen that anybody playing that and then wins with it.
Yeah, that was fantastic. One of the things that I saw last season and I've picked up, it seems to have continued into this season, is how effective the fullbacks can be moving forward. And a lot of the 4-2-4s that I saw, and Sid's was very interesting, kind of how he moved everybody around. But the fullbacks really moved up into the midfield and added value in the midfield that I didn't notice in seasons prior. I don't know if I was just oblivious to it or people got better at using it or the engine adapted a little bit, but that was one of the things. Say that again?
Individual instructions, right? And you can tell them to go a lot of freedom, run up the field, attack, be offensive.
Yep. And I felt a little bit like the long through ball was so impactful that it didn't matter who was defending. If that good long through ball got through, they were scoring the goal anyway. So who cares how many defenders you have? Because you got to just shut down the pass or score. Because once that pass is on its way, there's nothing you can do. I'm sure we all had that moment last year where you saw the ping pass go, and you were like, I'm in trouble. Like that's going past the defenders. The winger and the striker is going to run through on it and have that one-on-one with the goalkeeper. But yeah, it was.
I'm going to see a lot. I'm going to see plenty of those. Like balls getting through, and there's pacey striker chasing down the ball. I actually had a couple. It was at least one last season where it was kind of buggy, where like my keeper just sat there. It's like right in front of him. I'm like, get it. And and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
Again, and I'm not. I said I'll see a lot of people complaining about the defense. I almost feel like I want to go in and defend the devs. I'm like this has got to be really hard
Yeah.
to create something that simulates soccer, right? I just really appreciate how well they've done and turned it into something that's so addictive.
I was thinking about that today. I would really appreciate like a 5 minute video of almost like a parody video, right? Where somebody walks up to one of the devs and was like, "Hey, this doesn't feel so good. Can you fix it?" And the dev's like, "Oh, I see. I agree." And then they're like trying to fix the problem, and the person's like, "What are all those letters and what are the symbols?" And it's like, "Well, that's the engine." They're like, "No, no, no. Like the engine's on the screen." And they're like, "You know nothing about
It's just
coding and how this all works." And yeah, and they're like, they put in an update and they're like, "It's worse. I told you to make it better." And they're like, "Well, we tried, and this is, part of the." So yeah, absolutely, we're uh, too reactive to what we see on the screen, and I'm as guilty, if not more guilty, than anybody. And I'm like, just fix long shots. It's probably much much more difficult than that, but
right.
um, yeah,
It'd be a fun dev team to get embedded with and
yeah,
see what they've done and how they built it. But they're just generally again making sure that they're setting goals, they're being transparent, they're providing updates. That's what killed me. Again, I love that buzzer beater game, but it's like the game was perfect at the beginning and they never improved it.
mm,
So this that felt like a huge waste, and there was just so many things that they wouldn't listen to. These guys so far have been listening. And I think the hard part too is, and I never really played EA. I know that Sid and Matt, some other guys did. Um, but you could get good players, you could buy them, but then they would just keep churning out more packs. So the
yeah.
value goes down, right? These guys seem like they're really trying to like build a balance, something that's good for the old timers, something that's good for the newer teams. Again, I'm really kind of excited to see how this progresses.
Did you happen to catch when Math was on Windirk or when he was on with Laird and some of those conversations? Did you happen to catch those?
No, no.
Um,
I think that no, I actually watched the last Wonder, but I really haven't watched that many like in the last couple months.
so there's a part where he talks about um, most things, the community in this site, the company MFL, benefit together or suffer together. Most things, and I think it was particularly talking about pack supply and player supply. And he was saying when we release packs or players, the increased supply kind of artificially devalues what already exists, right? And he said, obviously, we need that as a company. We need the revenue as a company. That's really their only revenue source right now. I'm trying to remember the word that he used, um, but he said basically that's the only point of conflict where they're pulled in opposite directions, right? Where the user base wants, um, and these are full ultimatums, but the user base doesn't want new packs because they want their assets to hold value, and then the company does need to create some. And the thing that I really found fascinating about this was I felt like you could kind of see the the pain as he talked about this, where he felt like a little bad that the decision to release more packs was kind of like bad for the community. Um, and it was kind of cool because I felt like you could see just how much he cares about the game and just how much he cares about the community and how everything works and the economy of it. Um, whereas I think FIFA's like the full other end of the spectrum where they're like, whatever makes us the most money. And it's like, well, the community base is going to be furious, and they're like, we don't care. Release, increase the power curve, release more players, and they're like, well, everybody's already at 99, and they're like, we'll go to 110. They're like, well, that's breaking the rules, and it's like, if it makes us more money, we'll break the rules.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm with you 100%. I love the just kind of the commitment to making a great game and keeping the community so engaged and making sure that um, nothing gets too out of whack. And they did a great job of looking at how many packs they were releasing and how much of a demand there was and making sure that like there's good balance there. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think I haven't done a drop in a while. Um, In fact, the last 3 times I tried, I didn't get anything. That was, I think, a couple
Oh,
seasons.
really?
Yeah, but I think I had heard that they cut the rares in half this season. This last, or
Yeah.
dropped away.
Mid-season
I mean, just
to
the drop away.
mid-season.
Like there was half as many rares
Yeah.
released than previous drops, right? So, that's a hit for them. Like whatever
Yeah.
they released last season, that's thousands and thousands of dollars that they're not getting this round, and they had to actively choose. Okay, for market reasons and for
Yeah.
appeasing our player, our user base, right? We got to do this. So I think it's probably going to be the case. My thought is retirement is not really going to be in the full flow for a few more seasons, right? Until a lot of these players, maybe another 5-6 seasons, you're not going to have a good idea of what the retirement churn is going to be. So I wouldn't be surprised to see prices slide all the way into another 5 seasons or so, right? Until we start to get the bulk of the players getting through. Because that's a really, I think those first batch, the preseason fours, is what average retirement is 37. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you unless the user base grows. We saw the big boom because the user base grew quite drastically, and then it's probably correcting itself to like a healthier place. But it's hard to appreciate that we're going to a healthy place when it's going down. But to your point, like from when you got in, like season 1 or season 2, values are still way up. I have a player that is only like a 64 rated, but I bought him at like a 59 or a 60, and he's gone up like 1 point every other year. And I think I bought him for like $3 in season 1 or season 2, and his retirement number just went up, and he's now worth like $3. I'm like, I've gotten like 6 seasons out of this guy, and he's still where he started. And so, that's not everybody's experience, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but players are definitely down. I've sold some players and bring down 20-30%, right? But it's all kind of relative. I'm not selling those players so I can pull the money out. I'm selling it so I can go buy some other players, right? So selling lower, but I'm buying lower as well. So doesn't really bother me too much. But yeah, definitely things to be stable. But in a down and up market, if you know the game and you understand the market, those are all opportunities.
For sure. Yep. I know Kev keeps joking. He's like, I'm buying rares left and right. He's like, the prices are affordable, and he's having a ton of success moving up the ladder. And he's like, yeah, this is great. So he's buying teams and buying players and having a lot of fun. So the cost to have fun has gone down for sure.
It's got to be great for him. I sold. We just got the retirement tag. It was a 32-year-old 89 striker for $100. That's probably not even that bad, but still, that's an 89 striker. So those were, I remember when I was looking at those seasons ago, it was like, yeah, you're gonna spend 4 figures on it, right?
Oh yeah, and maybe we'll get back. We'll see. But any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share before we jump off?
No, I except just appreciate reaching out. Appreciate you doing this. It's a fun game. I spend a lot of my time kind of just focused on my team. So the fact that you're spending time like looking at other managers, again, stuff that Calvo and Jimbo are doing, like just really appreciate you guys bringing a whole important facet to the game, and as it continues to grow, I think that part, right, that's going to be the part. It's the marketing, the connections. So that's what's really going to drive the game. So yeah, just for sure. Thank you to you. And I'm excited for this season. But either way, I'd say either way, I'm happy with this film. I'm happy with this. It's going to be a success even if we go down. And I'm just, every season they're rolling out new stuff. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm excited what they're doing.
Yeah, I know Bob joked last season, his first season in Diamond, he said it was less stressful because we're, the goal was to get here and I'm here. And he kind of had that same philosophy of I got here. So yep, I hope you have a lot of wins, and I hope you stay up another season. But regardless, no matter what happens, I hope you enjoy it, and congratulations on getting to Diamond. It's a huge feat. So
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, appreciate it.
yep,
Good luck with your season, and we'll see what happens with a potential meetup at some point. We do something in Chicago. I'm happy to host and get involved. But if if it's somewhere else, I'm happy to go on a road trip.
awesome. All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks a bunch.
Take it easy. We're going.